Welcome to the Green Lake Association's 2023 State of the Lake Breakfast and Annual Meeting. My name is Stephanie Prelwitz, and I am the GLA's Chief Executive Officer. We've made important strides on behalf of Green Lake since last year's annual meeting. And together with the voices of our community, the strength of our members, and the support of our partners, we've amplified our efforts to protect our watershed and our lake. And our progress demonstrates how we are singularly focused on improving Green Lake's water quality. And you are part of that success. The collective power of our community has allowed us to bring back brook trout to Dakin Creek after 70 years and to stop a mine from threatening sensitive waterways. These are incredible milestones, but as you know, our work isn't done. Because if we want a healthy lake, we need healthy land, since its runoff is directly connected to Green Lake's water quality. Most of our work focuses on preventing phosphorus pollution from reaching Green Lake, since phosphorus is the most important driver fueling Green Lake's degradation. Conservation practices throughout the watershed are one essential tool to reduce phosphorus, but they alone are not enough. The stakes are too high to solely rely on a multi-generational, field-by-field approach to safeguard our amazing lake. After all, we know the lake is changing quickly. The pace of implementing individual practices can no longer keep up with growing climate pressures. And if we want to avoid an ecological tipping point for Green Lake, a future state of rapid degradation when water quality improvement is costly and virtually impossible to reverse, then we must broaden our approach. And this broadened approach is articulated in our new strategic plan, which maps these challenges to unique solutions. We've organized our strategic plan into 4 program pillars. Phosphorus reduction, our #1 priority. Aquatic invasive species prevention, data evaluation, and last, community activation. So let's dive into how the GLA is conducting research, exploring new techniques, and implementing pilot projects that are beyond anything we've ever considered in our 72-year history. As part of our phosphorus reduction program, last November, we broke ground on a capture structure, a cutting-edge phosphorus filter attached to the end of an agricultural retention pond. Let's take a look. Roy Creek is one of the 8 streams that flows to Green Lake. And in particular, Roy Creek flows to the County Highway K marsh, which we know is the source of 30% of our phosphorus loading. The majority of the Green Lake watershed is agricultural. 65% is ag, and so it makes up the majority of our phosphorus loading.
So this is water that runs into Green Lake. It's just surface water from rain running off the landscape, and it's collecting here. It's slowing down the flow of the water. It's really important to reduce phosphorus flowing into Green Lake.
And so these types of traditional retention ponds are kind of a last line of defense to capture and treat phosphorus runoff. But they're imperfect. They do a great job with total phosphorus, but they are miserable when it comes to dissolved phosphorus. You can think of this like a giant Brita filter for agricultural runoff. So stormwater runoff from this farm field flows through the retention pond, and then it flows through the capture structure boxes that are loaded with alcan media that suck up all that dissolved phosphorus. So the water that flows through this capture box is cleaner than it would be without the capture structure. This is a pilot project for the capture structure. There are few of these in the world. This is a novel strategy that the Green Lake Association is happy to be testing with the DNR funding and with Kaiser & Associates. And so the two of them together are taking a traditional retention pond and charging it on steroids to make it more effective than it would ever be before. So we have a lot of additional sampling on top of it. We're sampling water pre-treatment and post-treatment to see what the treatment efficiency is.
We got our syringe, a 45 micron filter. Here is our SRP, taking a reactive phosphorus sample out of the pond. See how much dissolved phosphorus is already here.
We're also working closely with the Land Conservation Department for Green Lake County to see what the logistics are. And if we find that the capture structure is successful, and if it's feasible to implement, there are 50 of these retention ponds throughout the Green Lake watershed. And so we're able to quickly scale up and put Brita filters on all sorts of agricultural runoff as one method to decrease phosphorus loading to the County Highway K marsh and specifically to Green Lake. Last year at our annual meeting, we talked about the need of technology and innovation to reach our water quality goals, because we have some really significant phosphorus reductions to hit, 50 to 70% reductions to hit our baseline water quality goals. we're not going to get there fast enough, acre by acre, farmer by farmer, field by field. So if we can use technology to supercharge those efforts, to make quick interventions in phosphorus reductions, it really is the best path forward to make measurable results for a cleaner Green Lake. And so 1 year later, I'm so pleased that here we are with technology and innovation in the form of a capture structure as a pilot project of what one of those solutions for scaling up technology might look like on behalf of Green Lake's water quality. Now we'll talk about the Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Program Pillar. Aquatic invasive species, also known as AIS, are plants, animals, and pathogens that are introduced to an area where they do not naturally occur. And so without any natural predators, they can grow quickly and spread easily to new areas. Because thousands of boats come to Green Lake every year, we need to take proactive steps to prevent new AIS from entering the lake. To identify any new threats as quickly as possible, the GLA is using a novel AIS detection technology called eDNA. Let's find out more.
An early detection system for new AIS would allow us to respond quickly to potentially capture or reduce harm to Green Lake. Therefore, we're launching a more sophisticated and effective method that relies on environmental DNA, also known as eDNA, or mitochondrial DNA that's released from an organism. eDNA emerged in 2003, but in 2019 the science expanded so that a single sample can detect the eDNA of multiple organisms all at once. This new technology is a game changer in terms of AIS monitoring across the country. Today we're sampling for any freshwater AIS. So to be able to do that, we hook up our boat to our Land Rover and drive it over to County Park. After we launch, we make sure that we grab our sampling equipment to collect our water samples. And together, we're going to filter those samples to determine the DNA in the filter. It's important to do this so that we have a good handle on what's in the lake and when, so we can react to new AIS quickly. We hope to learn what are all the AIS in Green Lake currently. We'll be able to identify key areas where those AIS show up, so we can get boots on the ground to do traditional methods to sample those organisms. And also, we'll be able to find out all fish species, find out all plants, algae, and macroinvertebrates here on Green Lake. So here we have our Van Dorn sampler. We have our depth gauge here. We'll send down our messenger. And here's our water sample. Time to process the sample. It's full. We'll fix it with an acid, and we'll send it to the lab. And that's it. In 6 to 8 weeks, we'll get alerted to what life is in our lake. So sampling for AIS is really costly and labor intensive. With looking at DNA, we can find out a variety of organisms all at the same snapshot in time. If we don't do this, we'll rely on traditional methods. But by doing that, there's a long lag time, and by then it could already have a foothold. Instead of taking years to determine whether or not an AIS is in our lake, it'll be only months.
The Data Evaluation Program Pillar uses science, research, and information to help the GLA and our lake management planning team. It allows us to identify water quality problems, find solutions, and track our progress. A recent study conducted by the GLA in partnership with Michigan Technological University and the U.S. Geological Survey confirmed that phosphorus is the main water quality challenge for Green Lake. We need to reduce the amount of phosphorus entering the lake by 50 to 70% to achieve our water quality goals and to remove the lake's impairment designation. But we also learned that 80% of Green Lake's phosphorus pollution is entering two inlets at County Highway A and County Highway K, where I am now. The GLA is exploring global examples of how technology and new approaches can help us address these pollution pinch points. And our latest study revealed that the inlets themselves are contributing to the problem. Sediment in the Silver Creek Estuary and the County Highway K Marsh, its two main inlets, have accumulated decades worth of phosphorus. We now know that this phosphorus pollution, which is called internal loading, is leaking into the lake.
In October of last year, the GLA worked with consultants to measure internal loading. We collected 18 sediment samples throughout the County Highway K Marsh, the Silver Creek Estuary, and in Green Lake at multiple water depths.
We got all of our high-tech sampling equipment right here. So this Heckman dredge, it'll be lowered to the bottom to sample it. It's all kinds of fun. You good with that?
Yep.
On to the next.
The sediment samples allowed us to measure internal loading and determine how we can better manage these systems to reduce phosphorus loading. This study will also help us decide where to focus our resources, whether we invest in traditional land management practices, internal loading management, or a combination of both.
We now know that it's not just the streams bringing phosphorus into Green Lake. We're dealing with historic phosphorus that has accumulated within the lake's inlets and is leaching phosphorus into the lake over time. With this new information, the GLA is now exploring how we can use the best approaches to manage these systems and reduce phosphorus loading to protect Green Lake. This is a great example of how science and data allow us to better understand Green Lake's challenges and improve our approaches to address its quality. Another initiative we've recently launched is our Lake Class, which is part of our Community Activation Program pillar.
The Green Lake watershed is an area of land that covers 107 square miles, where all of the water that flows across it eventually ends up in Green Lake. Anyone who lives in the Green Lake watershed can make choices at home or at work that directly impact the water quality of the lake. And that's why it's so crucial that all of us understand what we can do as individuals to help protect this incredible resource. Last year, the GLA hosted 70 high school students and community members at Lake Class to learn about the plants and animals that call Green Lake home. This was a chance to get out of the classroom and to collect water samples and water clarity depths to measure the quality of the lake. During one class, we docked our boat and headed up White Creek to study stream bugs called macroinvertebrates. Some macroinvertebrates are sensitive to poor water quality, so their absence or presence can tell us important information about the streams that flow into Green Lake. This knowledge can help the GLA build a better understanding of the current state of Green Lake throughout the community and engage those living in the watershed to help improve the quality of the lake.
Over the years, I have heard so many stories about how Green Lake is at the center of your family and your lake legacy. There is no doubt Green Lake is an incredible lake, which is why we're committed to addressing its water quality challenges with a new, broadened approach, so that GLA and our partners can better tackle the lake's declining water quality. We are so optimistic about the future of our lake. And we're equally fully aware that it will take a significant commitment by each of us to succeed. But know this, none of this will be possible without you. So thank you for your continued dedication to our lake, our community, and our organization. We look forward to the year ahead and to the impact we will continue to make together for Big Green Lake.